Yo, welcome to the Mashcast episode 25. I'm Kenny, and as always, here with Charlie today. How are you, Charlie?
It's like I'm stuck in a loop here,
Yeah.
waiting for every
COVID
Mashcast.
COVID? Oh, how do you mean? Take me into this loop world that you're in.
Well, there's some places where it seems like everything repeats ad nauseum.
Okay. Oh, I
Maybe
see. I see
sometimes
what's going on
sometimes you're
here.
making progress, sometimes you're not,
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you see, Charlie, I see what you're doing, and I might have caught on had I known anything about this game. But that's why we're here today, is so that Charlie can convince me to get Hades. Because, Charlie, I'm having a hard time finding a game that clicks for me right now. I've been
Okay.
replaying Metal Gear Solid 5, and that's fine. I do enjoy that game. The skulls give me a lot of anxiety, but I'm enjoying MGS5. Nothing else. I'm having a like will they, won't they with Hitman. I don't really know if I want to play it, and then I play it and I don't like it, but then I watch other people play it, and that makes me want to play it. So, anyways, so let's see, Charlie. I want you to sell me if this would click for me, this Hades.
I think so. How many, before I start, I guess, how many roguelites have you played?
If I were to count it out, I believe I'm at a grand total of one,
Okay.
and that's
Interesting.
that being Rogue Legacy.
Okay. So I guess if your idea of, or your issue rather, I guess, would be a lack of progress or story or something,
Yeah, I mean,
maybe?
like in the case of Rogue Legacy, that game is almost purely gameplay. There's no real story to it, and it's just, yeah, it gets repetitive, and I kind of tire out with it.
But I guess, so that's what made you, did you beat Rogue Legacy?
No, I
Or did
never
you
beat
not?
it. It's a
Okay.
hard game.
Interesting.
But see, I don't necessarily have an issue with repetitive gameplay because I do love Warriors games, and actually, I am thinking about buying One Piece Warriors 4 because I'm pretty sure
Okay.
that would click with me. But repetitive gameplay is not necessarily an issue.
Mhm. Okay. That's good. So I don't know in that regard if this will fix this, but this is very much a game focused on trying to improve that.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of people that don't like roguelikes like this, because there is a sense of progression consistently in
Okay.
terms of story and character interactions. That might be enough, but we'll find out. So I've played quite a bit of this game,
Okay. Sure.
probably basically done everything except for like one or two little things.
Okay.
But I think what I want to do is just do a new save and show off the beginning of that,
All right.
because there's going to be way too much going on with my save file,
Right.
probably,
Okay. And yeah,
for you to
too much.
grasp.
Yeah. Too
But I'm
much
going
for
to
you
make
to
it
explain.
interesting for myself and turn on hard mode, or hell mode, as I
Okay.
call it, because I haven't tried that before.
All right.
This game doesn't really do difficulty options until you've already beaten it once, and
Mm-hmm.
then, like most super giant games, they don't really have difficulty settings, rather just modifiers that can change up like more health or damage or different move sets or speeds for the enemies and that sort
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah. That's kind of like how Dragon Quest 11 has. It has what they call like oh man, like art, not arcane, but just kind of like uh, out of date type features. Like, why would you ever turn these on? But you can turn them on if you want to.
I wouldn't say they're arcane at all. I'd say that's actually what drives me to play this
Yeah.
more, but okay. Uh, but yeah, I haven't tried hell mode before because that's sort of like a default. It increases the difficulty from the
Mm.
start. So we'll see how that goes.
What are some super giant games that I might have played? Because I'm
From the sound of it, you probably haven't played any of them,
okay.
but they've done Bastion, Transistor, and Pyre before
Okay.
this.
I'm familiar with two of three of those. but I have
Okay.
not played any of them.
And they're all kind of this isometric perspective with very
Hmm.
detailed worlds. Um,
Yeah, I
I'd
love
say
the
this
art
is probably the
style.
most. Yeah, no, the art's great.
It reminds me
It's
a little bit of Mike Mignola, who does Hellboy. You know, there's
okay.
like
Yeah, sort of.
heavy black shadowing used.
Could see
Not
that.
quite, but not like that one Switch game that there was a demo for or whatever. But
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, setup before I get into it is you're the son of Hades,
okay,
Zagreus, and
yeah,
Hell, trying to get out, and it just sort of throws you in. You don't know why at first, but you'll figure out why, and you'll have reasons to continue going through these rooms.
okay,
Basically, the gameplay is there's a set of chambers on every floor, and there's multiple floors for you to try to get out. And those are randomly generated each time in terms of layout and in terms of what enemies are in that room.
hmm,
And every time you beat a room, you'll get a reward. Here, it shows you to the next chamber a preview of what that would be. So we'll get into that in a second.
okay.
So in terms of movement, you got a dash. You start out with a sword. You got a basic light and heavy attack.
Normally, would it be giving you like a tutorial here?
No, it just throws you in.
Really?
Yes,
Because I guess if you die, that's part of the experience,
correct.
right? Okay.
I would say you're not intended to beat it your first time.
Yeah.
So we'll see how far I get. I'm no god gamer at this game, so even though I have beaten it probably 50 times, I am kind of limited at the start. So we'll see.
What drives you to beat it 50 times?
So I don't know how spoilery I want to get with you. I want to gauge that as we go, I
Okay.
guess.
All
But
right.
there's definitely a reason that you want to finish each run um, in terms of story progression. And so, what happens when you beat a room? Sometimes you'll get dialogue if it's the first time you've interacted with a new item like this, but uh, there's different items in the game that'll give you passive or additional modifiers to your weapon. And the main gameplay loop of this is each of the gods are trying to help you escape. The gods in Olympus, not the ones in hell. So this is Athena, who's going to give us a modifier to our.
Okay.
Hail, noble cousin. Now, let's get you from that miserable place. I'll see that all of us upon Olympus do our part, beginning here with me.
And so every time it'll give you 3 different options to choose from of what you want. So that's kind of leaning into the roguelike nature of this will be random every time. There's a whole bunch of different combinations that you can combine with your weapon to make different loadouts. And that's what makes the gameplay interesting, is there's so many different varieties of play.
Okay. What
Uh,
carries
so
over in between deaths?
so these weapon upgrades don't. What does is I haven't really gotten to that yet, but
Okay.
there's a bunch of different currencies in this game that you can add on to increase your overall like starting health, or maybe you'll get some money to spend on the in-game shop as you're going through to start with, or you'll get additional attack buffs permanently, that sort of thing.
Okay.
But for each run specifically, at the end of it, if you die, you'll lose like whatever I choose here, or uh, you can get other things like increasing your max health or that sort of thing.
Okay.
That stuff will go away. So I'm gonna probably go with dash. So basically, what that does is that gives each time I dash, it's gonna let attacks bounce off me instead of hitting me.
Okay. So it's like a
Athena's really
counter.
Yeah. I'm gonna pick it up here a bit because this is going pretty slow. So yeah, there's a bunch of different enemy types, but not a whole lot compared to other roguelikes. Like compared to Legacy, the only other one you've seen, it's probably less. But again, I don't think it's really a problem if you're really into roguelikes, because this game's really more about the characters and story and the different attack combinations you can make out of your buffs.
Okay.
So usually, sometimes when you beat a chamber, you'll get one door option. Sometimes you'll get two.
You were saying something earlier about preview of the next room. Let me
Yeah, that's
take a look.
this little bubble.
Okay, yeah. Let's
It'll show
examine
you
that. Yeah.
It'll show you an icon of what you want to pick when you're done, because that's, it's obviously random each time, but it gives you that little chance of you're sort of defining how your build wants to be as you progress. Or say if you want to work on farming a specific currency that will give you more upgrades, you can focus on that instead, that sort of thing.
Okay.
You've got quite the fighting spirit in you there, I have to say. Most intriguing, and yet no.
But yeah, I'm not going to focus too much on the story stuff right now. But I like all the character art is kind of like that. It's just you're seeing a static, detailed image with some text, but it's
Yeah.
all voice acted. Pretty much every time you see it, it's different text. Like after 100 some hours, there's only been a few characters that are just like very basic tertiary NPCs that have said some similar stuff. Everything else has been unique so far. And that's what else is also good about it as a game, is that it uses the roguelike nature to define that dialogue tree interaction. So, like, if you beat a certain boss with a certain weapon, or if you lose to them, the next time you face them, they'll have a comment about that. Or, like, if you pick, eventually you'll get different weapons besides the sword. Those have different modifiers. If you use one of those, one of the characters in the run might have used them in the past and will comment on that sort of thing. And it progresses from that to you'll have like random side quest interactions with various people throughout the run. So,
All right. So we've got two different icons on these
you
doors.
got two options here. So it doesn't explain it during the first run, obviously, but you
Okay.
eventually figure out this is more for your permanent upgrades, like your
Okay.
health and attack and that sort of thing. This is a key that lets you unlock more options to set on this permanent upgrade currency. So, like, when you're first using this, it'll only give you like 3 things you can try to upgrade or unlock. And the keys let you buy more of those. So you're kind of picking and choosing.
Okay.
And eventually, I guess I'll spoil, you actually get an option to re-roll the door. So you'll be able to modify that again to something else if you don't like it. So now we're seeing enemies have shields and armor. Normally they'll take stun damage if they don't have armor. That just leads to you changing up your gameplay a little bit. There's also traps throughout each chamber, like these little areas there have spikes that'll pop out if you stand on them. Or if you run into a pillar, they'll drop boulders, or there's these bombs, that sort of stuff. And so there's a set amount of enemies in each chamber. They'll just keep spawning in waves until you finish them all.
Okay.
And each floor has a very number of chambers, but they're all sort of thematically the same per floor. Then you fight a boss, then you move on to another floor as it goes. So this one's just currency, like money straight up. And you use money to buy items at either, there's a shop with Charon, the Pharaoh of the Dead, or there's sometimes little standalone shops that you can buy stuff on your own with a more limited set.
Coin from the dead. Each exit has its own reward.
Well, I
So
guess I'll
nice.
show it off right now. That's the shop. So yeah. So you just carry on.
Does this place also exist like in the hub world area?
No.
No.
He only shows up during the runs.
Okay.
We'll go back to the hub whenever I die. Hopefully, I don't
Okay.
beat it, because that would be kind of weird. But I'm also kind of sad if I do. We'll see.
Here's taking in the sights, and hey, what's that you got? Some sort of wares for sale? And I'll just have a look around.
How long is the average playthrough, do you think?
So I'm going kind of slow just to explain everything, and I'm terrible at talking and playing at the same time. But when I was first starting out, doing a full run and actually beating it, maybe like 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
And now I'm at the point where it's closer to like 20.
Okay.
So it definitely it kind of goes in waves. Like, obviously, when you start out, it won't take as long because you're not getting very far. Then it'll get longer as you progress further. And then you get to the point where, okay, I've kind of figured everything out, so it's taking a lot less time. Then if you want, you add more difficulty modifiers, and it starts taking longer again.
Okay.
So it kind of depends.
But you can...
Are
those difficulty modifiers purely optional?
Yes,
Okay.
they are.
So they're not required to get the most out of the game?
For the main story, you don't need to use them.
Okay.
To see credits, basically. There's a bunch of stuff that you can keep doing. Just from what I've seen, for the way the game progresses, it's very unlikely you'd see most of the side content before you get to the credits. But maybe that was just me. If you want to progress and make more upgrades, you'll want to use the difficulty modifiers, because that gives you more of the currencies that you get to unlock stuff. So it's kind of a risk reward. So what we got right here is just a boon of Ares, like I had before. These pomegranates give you an additional level up to the boons here. So let's see if I have... So it'll say, like, if you get a pomegranate, it'll say the level of this one +1 or something like that if I got it. And that increases the damage number.
Okay, and
there that's green.
These are permanent upgrades?
For this run.
Okay, just for this run.
Yes.
What's...
This Curse of Agony I have right here that gives Doom, that's just for this run that I picked up. The room, two rooms ago.
But anything you purchase from this guy is permanent?
No. This is only in the run.
Okay.
And then this is health. Little hero and fries. So I got the pomegranate, which means I can increase either the dash that I got earlier or Doom. That's usually just giving you base damage increase.
They must have lots of these upon Olympus.
You're playing this on PC?
Yeah, it's also on Switch. And I wouldn't be surprised if it comes to PlayStation and other stuff. They usually do that, but it's probably...
Well, I asked...
For consoles.
I asked because I saw PlayStation button inputs.
Yeah, oh, so that's one of the good things about Supergiant, is they're very good about caring.
Yeah.
About... I mean, I'd recommend always using a controller with our games, just because that's how I prefer, but I guess you could. But yeah, I'm actually using the PS5 controller, and it works. It doesn't have the like adaptive trigger stuff, obviously, because that would be a specific driver. But yeah, it has vibration, and all the buttons are updated, like, which seems to be kind of rare for some reason for developers to do. But yeah, no, it works perfectly fine. So what I just got there was a max health upgrade. See, my health's in the bottom left.
Yeah. And that's
next
permanent?
To, yeah, for this room.
Okay. So we need to come up with another word for permanent.
You can get permanent health upgrades through that purple goop that I was showing earlier. But yeah, this is just for the run. You also see the little red diamond that I've been picking up is a cast that gives you long distance.
Okay.
It's just a different attack. And there's also, you can get like a super move as well. I don't think they let you get that during the first time through, though. Okay. Okay. Let's do that. And you might have seen at that last door, there was a little skull below the arrow icon. That basically just means you're either going into a mini boss or a slightly more difficult version of the chamber. You see, these guys are basically the mini boss of this floor.
So you were
The one
saying
thing I don't. Go ahead.
you were saying earlier that had you played your normal file, there had been too much going on, and I still
Yes.
feel this way watching just this.
It is kind of a lot to take in at first because, like I said, there's a lot of different currencies and there's just a lot of different modifiers during the run. So it does take a while. It took me a little while to get used to what everything was doing. That's why I'm trying to go slower. Artemis, one of my favorite, probably the best god of the game, honestly.
Okay. How so?
She's just great. That's all I gotta say. You eventually get to the point where, when you're first opening up these boons, it's just basic flavor text of introducing the god, but it gets to the point where it's like they're being more chatty with you about other things. So she's just very, as you would expect from the goddess of the hunt, down to earth and friendly.
Okay.
Kind of a loner.
Yeah. Lone wolf.
Exactly. So she's got other interesting stuff that lets you do like crit damage on top of your attacks. So I'm going to go with that.
Sounds like good company to keep.
And I guess I should say at any point, well, maybe not at any point. I'll open that up when I'm done with this. You do eventually get like a codex that lets you get some flavor text that builds up over the course of runs for each character. So you can get a little more of their backstory and the world backstory. And the sword is kind of basic, but it's not just button mashy attack and special. You do get stuff where like a dash and attack or some other weapons will have a little more interesting, unique play styles that also changes up each run. That's really what it is. It's just like every run feels different. So it's cool to get new stuff each time.
Right.
Like I didn't stop seeing new modifiers until like 70 hours in.
Let me see.
Oh, I completely forgot I was going to explain what was happening. Well, it's fine. I'm too used to just rushing through everything
Yeah.
because I've gotten to the point where it's just,
Yeah, it's second nature.
going as quick as... Yeah, exactly. Muscle memory.
Yeah. Do the rooms ever repeat? Like, even though they're procedurally generated, like, have you ever been in this room before?
Yeah, they're basically like a set of 5 to 10 different tile sets, basically, so...
Yeah, like
It probably
Rogue
already
Legacy was
looks
like
like-
that.
Yeah, I mean, it probably already looks like they're pretty similar, but yeah, they basically just cycle through the different number of presets.
Mine now.
Okay, so what I was going to say was, at any point, you can pause and see what modifiers you have. So on the very left, that's like, there's basically 2 different sets of modifiers in all Supergiant games. There's main and secondary. The main ones are on the very left that actually give direct buffs to your basic attack or special or whatever. And then there's the ones more on the right that just give passive, like
Stat
anything you
boosts.
do has a crit chance. Yeah,
Yeah,
or that sort
okay.
of thing. So yeah. Let's get some health. We're at the first boss. There's also when you're first starting out at various points, these little
Present chamber lies the outermost perimeter of Tartarus.
flavor text pieces about the world.
Dangers
There's an overarching narrator in this world that I still don't understand what his purpose is, because sometimes Zagreus interacts with him mentally. So I don't know if that's like,
Can reckon
oh,
quite a bit.
there's some Greek or mythological thing they're doing there or not. I like Greek mythology, but I don't really know a whole lot about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I remember reading that mythology book, that like the one everyone reads in high school,
Awkward.
but I don't remember much about it.
But yeah, basically, this is pretty straight that, if you remember it. It's like these gods are the ones that killed all their parents, the Titans, and now they're doing their own shit on Olympus and Hell, and you'll recognize the names probably, is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. So this is the first boss, Megara, another fantastic character, because you do see her in the hub world sometimes,
Come on, make it. Haven't we had more than
but
enough of these
she's had a history with Zagreus.
Don't you
Mhm.
want someplace else?
They used to be lovers,
Nice.
and she's in the Fury Sisters. And what's interesting about this one is this boss will change up each time to be any one of the three Furies.
So sometimes it's not her.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. When you're first starting out, it'll probably be her for a little while. I don't remember when they start changing that up exactly, but yes, it does.
I'll have to go with the painful way.
So basically, Zagreus is escaping from hell outside of his father's wishes to do story-related things.
Gotcha.
I want to talk about it, but I feel like it takes away a lot of the motivation if you already know, I guess. Okay.
Oh, and then that's it. You're dead, right?
Yeah. So I kind of did that on purpose. So yeah, eventually you'll get upgrades to like you'll revive instead of dying and be able to continue a run, that sort of stuff. But yeah, every time you die, you end up
Everyone, don't mind me.
back here in the House of Hades. There's a bunch of different people here.
Wait, I know you. Guess that means you died out there, huh? Well, don't be sad though. Pretty much everybody dies sometime.
Some of us more than others.
Hypnos is kind of a lazy butt, but he'll comment about what you died to. And you got Cerberus,
Nice. Good dog.
There's a good boy.
Can you pet
one
the
of the
dog?
best.
Oh, you
of the
can.
Yeah. Of course you can. This is a good game, Kenny. See.
I'm pretty sold on it just for that.
Infernal watchdog Cerberus regards the underworld prince with mixed emotions, from purest joy to deepest melancholy.
You watch over things for me, won't you, boy? You know I'd take you if I could.
And this is your dad.
I told you nobody gets out of here, whether alive or dead. So how was your wanton ransacking of my domain?
Greetings, Father. My ransacking was a delight, thank you for asking. So I'll just be on my way again.
Be on your way indeed. What do I care? You shall never reach the surface.
Is Zagreus like actually in mythology? Like, is he a pre-existing character?
Yeah, he is. So sometimes that's where mythology gets a little rough, from my understanding. Sometimes he's referred to as Hades, like just an alternate name of him. Sometimes he's Hades' son.
Yeah,
I think this the classical interpretation is what they're going for, is that he is Hades' son.
I mean,
in the
you have
original myth.
to think back in those days. They probably didn't have like a great way to keep their continuity straight.
Exactly. But yeah, so this is your base. You'll come back here each time. You know, eventually, you'll be able to expand the areas. For now, it's kind of basic, but you'll see more characters come in here and be able to talk to them.
Good to see you, lad.
Now, here's one of the best bros, Achilles.
Remember your training out there.
I say a lot of people in this game are good, but that's because
It's but another
most of them are, honestly.
Now, is Achilles
Well,
is he a good guy or is he a heel?
I mean,
You don't have to
he's-
answer that. That was a joke.
I do get it. I do get it. But I'm trying to not be facetious
Gotcha.
and say that everyone in this game has some flaw or problem to him that makes him feel very human.
Mm-hmm.
But he's basically your mentor.
And fear is for the weak. Take care, Achilles.
So, yeah. Then
You have come home. Do not despair.
here's
child.
Nyx,
Such setbacks are inevitable. and
your
will
foster
come
mom.
with effort and with time.
Who's your real mom, or is that spoilers?
She shall be true to her word.
You
We'll
don't
see.
know. Okay.
Maybe.
I mean, like, didn't Hades do like a lot of raping? So you might be a product of that.
No, they definitely don't go down that route.
You know, yeah. Mythology is like really dark, if I recall.
Reveal to them.
Especially in
definitely
regards to
is.
Hades, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Are we understood?
It's interesting because they try to
Then go.
frame Hades in the best possible light, I guess you could say, even though it doesn't really appear that way because he's acting like the overly bearing father, but it's more you see that he's just dealing with what he's been dealt, kind of, you know.
Yeah.
In mythology, sometimes it's everyone's a big shit, and I guess really they are. But sometimes it's he was the aggressor in doing something. In this case, it's more Olympus kind of put this on him, and he's just trying to be here on his own to deal with his realm on his own because he's tired of everyone else's shit.
Gotcha.
But everyone likes to rag on Hades, even in the game, because he's the ruler of hell. Wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of stuck with him. I really like Nyx as well. She's a really good character. I don't know how else to say it.
Okay.
She's very integral to the plot, I'll say. So you also have your bedroom. This will get filled with more stuff as you go, but if you want, this is the mirror that lets you unlock those upgrades I was talking about. So this purple goop you'll get each run. It's called Darkness, and you can choose between a variety of things you want to upgrade. And the keys, like I was saying, let you get even more. So you're kind of picking and choosing in the beginning what you want to do. Some of them are really good, like Death Defiance lets you basically get a revive. Greater Reflex lets you do an additional dash in subsequent sequence because the dash has a cooldown normally. Chthonic Vitality is also really good because it gives you back a little bit of health each time. Shadow Presence is an attack buff. There's other stuff that lets you try to re-roll the chambers to get more specific items or get specific boons, that sort of thing.
And those get more
Eventually it'll
expensive
get-
each time. I see.
Oh yeah, it gets additionally expensive with each purchase,
Yeah.
and further down you go, they're more expensive to start with.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that I still haven't bought everything on this to max,
Wow. Okay.
so there's a lot. Eventually, here you'll get a little parchment that gives you side quests to do that'll let you unlock additional currency bonuses, like more of the darkness if you complete it, like beat the game with a certain weapon or fulfill this side quest or that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So now this goes back into the game?
Not
Not yet?
one more pre-run.
Okay.
We meet.
Seeing through that sinister window there.
So you'll see here, you can also use the keys to buy the other weapons that you get.
Okay.
There'll be a couple more that show up later on in the game. So you have that variety. I guess I'll show off the bow.
Coronacht, the Heartseeker. Let's deal some death.
We get to meet the other best character of this game.
Nice place you got here, boyo. Name Skelly has it going, but enough of the small talk already. I'm here to do a job. So let me have it. Give me everything you got.
I don't
payroll, mate. Who's your supervisor?
Oh, I'm not about to wrap my sources, pal.
Is he the only character without like a British accent?
No,
No. Okay.
I guess. I mean, they're all. I can see what you mean by that, because this is being played up as a very much almost like a stage play. Of
Yeah.
everyone's more posh or uh, adamant in their acting, but no, there's plenty of variety there. But Skelly's just great, man. He's got a whole mystery about him. Why is he even here? Zagreus doesn't know who he is or how he got here. His only purpose is to let you beat him up to practice your weapons, because he can't move on his own. And he's a masochist, man. He wants to be hurt. He wants
Right.
you to kill him.
Gotcha.
But he's got other reasons for being here. He's got his own backstory. Who knows? Who knows what's going on? Yeah, you'll find out.
Okay.
There's also this little box that I don't have anything for yet, but there's a different currency, that little nectar goop in the top right, that you basically unlock these other modifiers by giving that goop to the other characters or gods throughout the hub world and run. And that progresses both like the narrative, sort of like bonds in Yakuza 7, where you have to go around and do the meals or those random spots in the world, and you'd increase your friendship rating or whatever. That's basically what that goop is. You're giving that to each character and progressing their story, and eventually they'll give you a bonus. Yeah, so that this is sort of your pre-load area where you choose your weapon and load out and that sort of thing.
It's
and then this is where you start the run.
I'm almost starting to get the impression that the run is just an accessory to everything else in this game.
You can definitely feel that, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that's
but
what I kind of would like.
Yeah, but what being said is I still really like the combat. It feels great. It's got variety. Yeah. So I wouldn't say it's solely the reason, because
I mean,
it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's the core
But-
gameplay.
But yeah, the story stuff is definitely what drove me to keep going. And I'm still seeing story stuff even after 100 and some hours in terms
That's
of like side
insane.
quests. Like, the main story is over, basically. Yeah, it's really just the interactions that you wouldn't normally see. It uses story like a roguelike hasn't done before. Like it's using the repeated run nature to do those story interactions. And it just makes it seem like a really good world.
Well, I guess to finish this out, let's go back in to the run
Okay.
and let's get back to what's her face, the Megara.
Meg? Okay.
Yeah, and let's go
do
as
that.
fast as you can.
Looks like Father's not going to make
Okay, now hell mode starts. Okay. I guess this is good because this shows you what I'm talking about in terms
Okay.
of difficulty options. Oh, it starts off. Okay, well, I probably won't. I don't know if I'll be able to. We'll see. But yeah, basically, after you beat the game the first time in non-hell mode, this is just a modifier I added. It'll unlock this page that'll let you do like, hey, the health gains that you get are 25% less for each bonus you do, or there's more enemies, or some of them aren't even shown here yet because they're story spoilers. But foes with armor have additional movesets, that sort of thing. And what that does is normally every time you beat a boss, you get a specific currency, like a diamond or that nectar that will let you upgrade other specific things. And if you were to go through it again on the same heat, which is the difficulty level they're talking about, then you would just get more of that purple darkness scoop instead of getting the diamond again. So you have to increase the difficulty to get another diamond, basically.
Okay.
So it's like, if you just want to get to the credits, you technically don't have to do this, but if you want to progress more of the side story stuff or improve your character, you'll want to do that.
Okay.
And it's manageable enough where you don't need to.
All right, one more time.
So we'll see how this goes, because I don't have any of the bonuses really, which I'm kind of reliant on.
Is this really him?
Greetings there, young man. Look, your father's always been rather...
Okay. Cast.
Old Uncle Zeus lending his support.
So they still don't really tell you why you're trying to leave hell yet.
No,
You
it's
just
something
are.
you learn. It's just something you learn over the course of playing
Okay.
runs.
Is Zagreus'
Yeah.
whole thing that he comes back to life?
No, that's pretty much. So he was born of hell, and you eventually learn that he has to come back here each time. It's just what happens with him. Same with Hades and a lot of the other characters that are born in hell. There's some stuff about like spirits that are in hell now that they're dead. They can try to escape. But he specifically cannot. Although he's trying to, and maybe he will. So yeah, the bow's a little different. You've got power shot if you time it right, holding down your main attack, and then you've got a wide spread.
The Heartseeker.
Definitely special.
So that was an epic drop that you just got?
Yeah, so in addition to the level increases the palms give you, there's also rarity, and that just is sort of the base damage that it gives you to start out with when you pick it up. But you have abilities that can increase the rarity as well as you progress more.
Got it.
There's a lot of layers, and it can definitely seem like a lot in the beginning, but
I feel
It's-
like
it's there for a reason, and it's worth it.
I definitely feel like I have a better understanding of what's going on. And this game is definitely, having talked to you and watching you play it like this, is more appealing to me for sure.
Thank the gods.
Because I do like the way that you're telling me that the story kind of unfolds with each run.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, of course, some of that depends on how far you progress. Obviously, you're not going to get as much chances to improve dialogue with characters if you're not getting very far. But
Yeah.
Keep going.
there's also I don't know if I can. Yeah, I can. If you go to settings, I can't do it because I have hell mode on right now. But there's also a god mode makes it slightly easier in terms of if you keep dying a bunch, it will increase your damage resistance. So, and you can turn it off at any point. So if you feel like you're having trouble getting further, you can turn
Okay.
that on and use it as some training wheels to progress further, and then take it off later if you want, when you have more of those permanent modifiers unlocked.
Gotcha. It's almost like how like Resident Evil 4 will change the difficulty based on how much you keep dying.
Yeah, it's not quite as adaptive as that, but yeah. And like my cast upgrade I got from Zeus is giving me those electrical bounces, which is one I really like. So let's keep going. I probably won't get very far because I'm not that great at dealing with this low amount of health,
Gotcha.
but we'll see. I'm also used to having a bunch of revives, so I can just blast my way through, not worry as much.
Just brute force it, yeah.
And you'll also unlock stuff like sometimes a fountain will show up in the middle of a floor that will let you get some health back for free. That sort of thing. So there's other things that I'm used to that make it a lot easier.
Gods.
I'd honestly say it kind of gets easier as you go.
Mm-hmm.
Both because you got those permanent upgrades, but also just because you figured out how everything works.
Oh. 6 life left. Can you do it?
Probably not. See, I'm used to having like 3 dashes off the start, 3 times as much health,
Yeah.
and being a little more responsive.
Well,
The
Charlie,
bow also makes you move a little slower, so
if you're gonna
Johnson my way through this, you know.
if you're gonna become a one-run, Hades speedrunner, you got to get used to this.
Oh, there's no way I'm doing that. The speed run relies on a very specific build to come up, at least for the any percent. That's just basically pure luck. I don't really want to do that.
Have they run
But
this
this game,
at a GDQ yet?
yeah, they did it at AGDQ.
Okay. Was it done in one run?
They did a different category that was like beat it 3 times.
Okay.
I don't really get why that's a category, but it lets you see the game a little bit longer, I guess. Sure. Let's do it. I could really use some help.
How do you get health? I don't even see anything that looks like. Well, I guess you're in hell mode, so.
I need a shop basically
Oh, okay.
to come up.
Yeah, I would like for this game to come out on PlayStation, because it's something I would want to play in the living room, and my PC and Switch. I generally keep in here.
I would say I've heard it runs fine on Switch. Ooh, here we go. It runs fine on Switch well enough, but I wouldn't recommend it just because there's a lot of text in this game that's kind of small. And I don't really think that's that great.
What's the deal with these games in the small text, Charlie? Because Death Stranding was like that before they patched it out, and it was something else I was trying to play recently that the text was just way too small.
I mean, right now it's probably happening again because they're changing their assets to 4K and not scaling it properly for other
Well, yeah,
screens.
and yeah, they're testing all these games out on PC monitors.
Yeah,
where they're sitting like this far away from
2 feet
it.
away.
Yeah.
Maybe I just like a challenge. Ever thought of that? Besides,
See, you did it. You got to her, Charlie.
Yeah, I got to her, but I'm not gonna beat her.
So this conversation
Probably.
changes each time you get to her, basically.
Yes.
Cool. And then after you beat her, does she start showing up in the hub world?
Yeah. I don't know if the first time, but she. Yeah. Actually, I think she starts showing up once you start seeing her systems.
Okay.
Because
she's got some time off.
How it works. Yeah, exactly. You know, yeah, the hub area is basically like, hey, we're all taking a break from
fighting each other?
From this act of fighting each other for no real reason. And you'll see some characters, like, she'll eventually interact with Nyx or some other people in the hub world, and it'll just be like a conversation that you can't listen to everything in. It'll just be like hush whispers. So it just does a lot of stuff that makes you feel like it's a real world.
Yeah, that probably more than anything is really enticing me about this game. Is everything I've, not just from you, but everything I've heard about the characters and how people really get invested in this world is not, to me, not something I feel like I've ever really heard about a roguelike before. So it's cool.
Yeah, because... Okay. Yeah, I mean, they don't have stories, really, is the thing. They're just gameplay focused.
Yeah. Well, Charlie, I think that's a good place to end this video. Unless there's anything else in particular you wanted to show off real quick.
I mean, if you think I haven't sold you enough, I can show you my other save.
Let's go to your main save real quick. Just real fast. And then just show me just absolutely bonkers it is.
Okay.
There won't be any spoiler stuff here, will there?
Sort of.
Well, I mean, if you don't explain it, then I might be.
You see, there's a whole bunch of weapons here.
Yeah, I'm not looking. I do not see it.
Don't worry about this. Don't worry about this.
Oh, Kupo.
Okay. Want to go? So I've been trying to do a 32 heat run because that's like the final thing.
Okay.
So we'll try that. What could go wrong? Everything could go wrong. So
put a timer on it too.
Yeah, I put a timer on. Basically, you have to beat a floor in that amount of time now.
Okay.
I also have a modifier that limits the options you get each time you pick something up. Ooh, yeah, dash. I've also got to where each enemy has 2 free additional armor hits, so where you're not stunning or damaging them. But Fist is probably my favorite weapon, honestly. You're just flying around. And this has a specific aspect that has a magnet that pulls enemies towards me. Ooh. Okay, this is good. Also have 3 casts. Poseidon's Dash is fantastic because it just breaks in everyone's face. There we go. This was the other thing that it didn't get shown off yet. You get these hammers, which are other permanent main weapon upgrades. I shouldn't say permanent. Per run. Okay. That also modify how you play.
You say run
specific.
Yeah.
There you go. So now I've got an explosive special. There's a bunch of weird effects going on here where there's a bunch of copies of each enemy. Because they've got perks added. It's crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
So, how do I ask this in a way that
sure
won't spoil me?
Hell yeah. What's up?
Actually, don't ask. Because I'm thinking, like, if you're continuing to play this game after having beaten the credits. Okay, so
there's reasons. Most of the... So there's an epilogue. Oh, shit. I want to do that, but I guess I won't. So you'll beat it the first time, then you'll get a reason to continue beating it, and then you'll get to credits. And there's technically an epilogue even after that. You don't really need to see it if you think you've had your fill, but it is a very nice thing that continues storylines for all the main characters. And a lot of the side content I didn't see until I was already going towards that epilogue point.
Yeah.
But I will say by this point, I've pretty much seen everything except for a couple little side threads.
So yeah, you're just doing the challenge run now.
Yeah. exactly. But to get to that credits section, it took me 40 hours ish.
Okay.
At first, I kind of didn't like that they did the sort of fisheye. It's red around the edges of the screen when you're almost dead.
Mm-hmm.
But it really helps in this because you're very focused on just your character.
Yeah, you don't
So
have time to
seeing
look
that-
down.
Seeing the periphery is very useful. Even if it doesn't look great from a viewer perspective.
That was close.
All right. So there's other side characters like this that'll show up eventually in the middle of the floor. Sisyphus is great. He's the guy who pushes the boulder up the mountain and it rolls back down each time.
All right.
He's kind of like a free shop. You can also talk to his boulder.
Boldy. Nice.
Boldy. But yeah, over the course of the game, you'll see a bunch of interactions between characters that you wouldn't have thought would happen when you first started.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of interesting stuff that happens. Like, I don't know how to say it without getting into a bunch of it, but there's a lot of weird stuff in this game.
Okay.
The most interesting thing is kind of left to your imagination, but I like how they end some of the runs after the credits happen.
So it's kind of like how, I mean, obviously this won't be a one-to-one, but it's kind of in the same vein of the multiple endings of Nier Automata.
I guess, yeah. It's like there's really jokey stuff that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like Zagreus ran too fast and ran into a rock and died.
Nice.
Or Zagreus stepped onto the road and got run over by a chariot.
Mm-hmm.
Or stepped on a rake. Real Wile E. Coyote stuff. And there's also fishing in this game. So you know it's a good game.
Do I?
I don't think I played a game of fishing that's bad. I'll say that.
All right. There's got to be an
try to
example.
dispute that.
I mean, not counting fishing games, obviously, right?
I mean, the fishing games I played, I've liked. I like Psychopath fishing. So see, different modifier. You got the two different Fury sisters at once that we haven't seen yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What were you trying to do that it couldn't let you do?
I pressed the wrong button because I'm a real dope and I keep using the wrong button for my special.
Gotcha.
I was trying to do this.
Oh, you do like summons?
Yep.
Cool.
You'll get those if you progress your relationship enough with some characters.
Mm.
And I've got to revive, so I don't have to worry if I lose on my health 3 times.
Do you ever get to recharge your revives?
There's a few shop locations you can get lucky to get an upgrade
Gotcha.
to recover some of them. It's not a guarantee, though.
Mm. So we're already at that point where you're about to run out of all your revives, huh?
It's 32 difficulty.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, I'm not. I can keep going if you want, or I can call it here. This is what happens when you get to the end of the floor.
So much.
You'll get a fountain that lets you recover most of your health. Usually in the beginning, it's all of it. I doesn't hear it because I have more than you normally would.
Right.
And these are like little side shops. This one lets you sell some of the upgrades that you've gotten. Say if you don't like something that you got. That usually only happens later on in the game if you're trying to go for a specific type of weapon path. And this one will just give you a random, like, hey, I can recover my health if I have the money. Or this summon is that death that I summoned earlier. So.
Well, yeah, we'll go ahead and end it here then, Charlie.
Okay.
Thanks for showing off this game. I mean,
Yeah.
really, you know, when we changed the format of the show, it really helps to kind of help me envision, because you can talk to me all day about this game, but unless I see it, you know, I'm not going to grasp it. But yeah, this has definitely got my attention now. Something I'm maybe not immediately, but it's on my radar now for sure.
Or I guess I can say, if maybe you're not feeling this in terms of the roguelike nature, their first game, Bastion, is very similar in terms of action to this, but just a single player, like 10-hour story.
I might have Bastion already.
Transistor is kind of like FF7 combat with a single character in this style, where you'll get like you'll be able to pause and set up special moves that you'll use over your turn, or you can just hack continuously in the meantime. Those are both really good. Pyre's the only really weird one that's like more of a visual novel with some sports basketball thrown in. But yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll go ahead and end it here. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Hades, check it out. PC and Switch. It was Charlie's Game of the Year, to spoil that episode. But, yeah. Thanks for watching. Goodbye!